This information is marketing communication. The views and opinions contained herein are of Johanna Kyrklund, Group Chief Investment Officer and Global Head of Multi-Asset Investments, and may not necessarily represent views expressed or reflected in other Schroders communications, strategies or funds.
Over the last year, we have been pro-cyclically positioned on the expectation that we could learn to live with COVID and that economies would be open. Our overweight position in equities has worked well. At this point, a lot of optimism is priced in. However, we still see upside for corporate earnings and monetary policy is still supportive. We are in what we call the recovery phase of the cycle, which is typically benign for markets. As we move into 2022, we expect inflation to rise on a medium-term basis as labour markets tighten, and this will lead to talk about central banks withdrawing liquidity and will eventually pose a speed limit to returns. For now, we remain positive on markets, however. The key risks to our view? Firstly, any disappointment on corporate earnings would be troublesome for us as valuations are quite stretched. And secondly, if inflation rises more aggressively and forces central banks to tighten more quickly, that could also be a challenge to markets.
Important information. This information is not an offer, solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument or to adopt any investment strategy. The material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for accounting, legal or tax advice. Reliance should not be placed on any views or information in the material when taking individual investment decisions and/or strategic decisions. The views and opinions contained herein are those of the authors or the individual to whom they are attributed and may not necessarily represent views expressed or reflected in other communications, strategies or funds. Past performance is not a guide to future performance and may not be repeated. The value of investments and the income from them may go down as well as up, and investors may not get back the amounts originally invested. The forecasts included should not be relied upon, are not guaranteed, and are provided only as at the date of issue. Issued by Schroders Investment Management Limited, 1 London Wall Place, London, EC2Y 5AU, registration number 1893220, England, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.